I was coming into the city while he was being led out of the city to become our Passover lamb. We didn't have any idea at the time. I was determined to celebrate Passover in Jerusalem. I traveled 1,500 miles, and when I got there, the city, it was an incredible sight. Not at all what I was expecting. The crowds must have been 10 times larger than the last Passover. There were angry crowds, people in the street everywhere. People were hollering the name Jesus. Some were crying. Roman guards were moving people back as this man with a beam across his back, bloodied beyond all recognition, was making his way down the street. The Roman guards were leading him to the place of the skull, Golgotha. So I was trying to make sense of all the anger and screaming and crying, so much crying. A Roman guard grabbed me, literally pulled me from the crowd, and ordered me to carry this man's cross. I'd traveled such a long way. If I carried his cross, his blood would stain me and prevent me from celebrating Passover. But the Romans have authority over us to order us to carry it a mile or maybe more. I didn't know what to do. I froze until I saw him. This man that claimed to be the Son of God, I saw him with my own two eyes. I couldn't pull myself away from him. What was left of him. His body was mutilated to where you could tell there was a man behind the blood. Almost like pounds of beaten flesh standing upright. It's when his eyes met mine. This was no criminal. This was no crazed man with grandiose ideas. This was an encounter with the one who was sent, Messiah. He was carrying his cross, step by step, barely able to stand. I told myself, just pick up his cross and carry it. Forget about celebrating Passover, Simon. Don't make trouble with the Romans. Just do it. But as I put my hand around his waist, I felt the weight of the beam on my back and shoulders, and as I tried to help him, Jesus' knees would buckle under a weight that went far beyond the weight of the beam. He was carrying the weight of the whole world on his shoulders. But we walked together. I heard the insults at him and now at me. I felt the spit, his blood on my skin. I could see the scars, the wounds all over his body. They had mashed a crown of thorns on his head, and blood ran into his eyes. The laughing, the mocking. They took him to Calvary and laid him on a Roman cross, nailed his hands and his feet, and stood him upright. And I watched. For 6 hours, I watched as Jesus would stretch as far as he could to get air in his lungs. I remember looking down at my hands, and I could see his blood. I was so worried that his blood, the stains, would make me unclean. Reality is his blood that makes me clean. He gasped his last breath, and he died. On that day, I helped Jesus carry my cross. I helped Jesus carry my cross. And he hung and died on my cross.